All the action.
Big chance by Buddha hits top shelf. Right where Mama hides the cookies and the Red Army off to a fast start.
All the excitement.
It goes in! It goes in! Are you kidding me?
All the heartbreak.
Oh no!
It's Over 50 Hockey Talk on The Clyde and Cody Show with hosts Clyde Roberts and Cody James.
The fall 2020 campaign just a few days away from us. Lots to discuss heading into the upcoming season. And Cody, we've got lots of excitement going on. We're down to 4 teams and everything is all maximized in depth area. They've got 13 players on each side. What you reckon with this season?
I gotta tell you, man, first off, I'm glad and I'm excited to be back into the swing of things with Over 50 hockey. But Clyde, you mentioned it right there, partner. You got 4 teams. Everything's limited, of course, unfortunately, due to coronavirus. Some crazy things happening. You got the Green Hornets, who aren't in for the first time in Over 50 hockey history. The Grey Wolves are sitting back as one of the teams that get axed. But you got the 4-team league, but from what we've heard, lots of changes coming up.
Lots of changes indeed too, Cody. From one, I don't know about this new playoff system of having 3 teams making it into the postseason. Don't get me wrong, 4 teams you have the equal, and some are going to have the arguments, but with just 3 teams, it just doesn't seem like it would be a legitimate playoff stance.
You're right. There's 2 different sides to the coin of this argument, man. For one, you got the active hockey players that would not want to be the number 1 seed overall because of the fact that they get 1 less game than, say, the 2nd or the 3rd seeded teams at the end. But, on the bright side of things from a competitive standpoint, that means you can't just sit back and go 0-12 and think, oh, I can just win in the end. No, you still got to do your part to get to the 3rd place spot minimum to propel yourself into the playoffs. You're still trying to make this a somewhat competitive league, even though it is more so a gentleman's league.
You're absolutely right. I think it's, at the end of the day, tip your hat off to Commissioner John Fitty for making these adjustments, the changes heading into the fall of 2020 campaign. You can't wait to see that aspect and how it turns out. But really, honestly, Cody, other than the changes, there's lots of exciting things to look at with these 4 teams. We'll get right into it, but you look at these 4 teams, which team do you fancy the most right now heading into this season?
Gotta tell you, man, the Black Aces are top-notch, dude. It's probably the gnarliest team we have seen in recent seasons. Tom Finley had a lot of luck favoring him in the draft. The way the guys were picking, from what I understood, Woody Borg fell into his lap, and based off the drafting system, Finley also had his first choice as a goalie and first choice as the 4-star players as well. That alone is going to propel you, and especially with the fact that now everything is all condensed. You got a couple of 5-star players from last season that get bumped down to 4-star. That's who they're going
I agree with you one bit, Cody. It's the luck of the draw, and anytime you had the 1st or 2nd pick in that situation, you're going to strike gold.
But here's the thing, man. The fact that Tom Finley was able to snag 3 of the 6 5-stars from last season, that's huge. And granted, of course, you look at Brett Gargas, who came in his rookie season last season, only played 3-4 games, didn't live up to his potential that they were hoping for when he was there, but now returning with the Black Aces. Now an opportunity for him to rewrite the storybooks, to change course essentially, and to make some big plays. If he shows up a little bit more, who knows what he's capable of. He plays in the B League on the weekdays at the TGH Iceplex, but I expect him to break out and make some things going for him. That's the kind of playmaker he is.
And you also look at the Black Aces as well, and they pick up rookie Alan Burr, who has really played a lot in the Oldsmar division, but really, based off from what we've heard, he's got the capabilities of being a 4-star player.
I think anytime you pick up a rookie player, you're always taking a chance. There's always these wild card predictions that you have to phase out a little bit, and for the first 3-4 weeks, guys are going to start to understand how he plays, how he operates, and even for his own team, essentially, Tom Finley as the captain is going to have an interesting time the first 3 weeks trying to figure out where Allen Bird places as a positional player, in addition to how he has to match things up against the other 3 opponents. You know, if Allen Bird ends up being a breakout player in his rookie campaign, that could potentially be 4 deadly weapons for Tom Finley, and a chance like that to get those points, you know, luck is going to be in your absolute favor. But I guess what I'm trying to say there is, you look at this team and it's just a dreamy team, as some people will put it. The fact that you have Woody Borg in the mix as well, there's a lot that you can do from an offensive and defensive side.
Well, you see the Black Aces, and that's just it, Cody. The Black Aces are a team where individually that's where their offense is going to come from. I really don't see with their roster that there's going to be an offensive system where you're going to have multiple people in the play. The defense is going to be absolutely impactful, and without question in my mind, Cody, this Black Ace defense is absolutely solid, and the brilliance is what I can't wait to see on Sunday when they take on the Golden Knights. But for the Black Aces, they just have a way of coming together with this roster. And for Tom Finley, you look at who he has on his team, and besides Brett Gargis, Woody Borg, and Paul Delano, other guys that have played defensemen before, you see Steph Pettit in the mix, Greg Bell, Alan Williams, Mitch Browser. Alan Williams in the sense of he can step back on defense if he needed to. And then, of course, Ira Lussman, who played defense with the Grey Wolves last season. If you think about it, potentially Tom Finley has 7 to 8 options to work with. That's what I call a loaded defensive unit.
Oh, you get no argument from me there, man. I mean, that's big. Defense is what wins championships, and that's a subjective opinion on my part. Plus, you got Chewy, who had given up the fewest goals in the winter 2020 season, and for what Chewy has, he has lots to work with, big protection. I can't wait to see what the Black Aces have in store there.
And then right there, moving on, Cody, we'll talk about the next team in there, the Blue Bombers. Angelo Pontello Sr. back in the captain's chair after 6 years. You look at how they drafted their team, and from what we've heard, my broadcasting partner Angelo Jr. was the one who picked all those guys, and I'm looking at this roster and it looks like a complete team in the sense of, you know, there's really nobody to me other than Wayne Webster and Angelo Pontello that stand out as an individual performer, but each player has their specific role to function and their role to play, essentially.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Clyde. Yeah, I mean, looking at this roster already, Scott Helwin and Wayne Webster together, that's going to be an interesting combo we'll see throughout the entire fall 2020 campaign. I like the chances on defense. You got Phil Chirico, a staple in that defensive unit, Pete Dominici as well to complement Angelo Pontello, and then Bernie Wersinski as well, bringing him from the Red Army. I mean, that's your 4 main guys, but then you also got so many players on this team as well that can be utility guys that can step back and play. You know, if you want to take Wayne Webster and give him a shot at defense, that's an opportunity to go with. We've seen Brian Pompos as well. Great scorer, but also seen some stints with him as a defenseman in the Grey Wolf unit last season. But then on the offensive side of things, you got Jerry Coughlin and John Mudra to be complementary pieces. I mean, you got so much to work with. And then, of course, Dougie Shepard. And we've seen even with the Black Aces last season that Shepard knows how to get to the puck in certain positions. I mean, this could be potentially a good checking line wherever Shepard is.
And one thing I will say about the Blue Bombers and the way they have things off, the Achilles heel in this is going to be the goaltender. And again, you only have so much if you're with Stefan Bolge, but you know, the defense is going to have to step up and play key. We've seen moments from Pete Dominici and Bernie Wersinski that love to step up with the play and make plays. You know, they're going to have to be a little more cognizant on the defensive end this time, I think, if I have to say anything about that, Cody, because right now, you know, you're not going to have a Mario Archikovic or a Chewy in net. You have Stefan Borge, who did hold up well for himself, but I think the challenge here is to make sure that the Blue Bombers on a team that's going to be giving up 5 or 6 goals a game. They have the capability offensively to score 5 to 6 goals a game. I just, to make it high scoring affairs, that could hurt the team potentially in the long haul.
I totally agree with you there. It's one of those things where once the weeks start, week 1, the opening week, is always going to be the big hump for them, because for any team for that matter, because you're trying to figure out who you have positionally. You know the same players from season in and season out, but every season's a new season, a new club to work with, a new squad of players. You got to make the best of what you have, and with 13 players, it just might be a chance to try to match up.
We'll step aside here for the moment. When we come back, we'll talk more about the other 2 teams in participation, the Golden Knights, the defending champions, and the Red Army as well. But for now, we'll step aside for the moment, and we'll let you all take a breather as well. Go get your favorite beverage as we take this quick break. You're listening to Over 50 Hockey Talk on the Clyde and Cody Show.
Introducing Integral Hockey, the world's best hockey stick repair system. Featuring patent-pending state-of-the-art technology, Integral Hockey has made it possible to repair today's carbon fiber hockey sticks and bring them back to life without compromising performance for a fraction of the cost of a new stick. This incredible system and technology speaks for itself. And once you take the Integral Hockey Challenge, you'll also see why people become instant and repeat customers. It's easy to imagine how this technology benefits everyone, including parents who cringe at the thought of spending upwards of $1,000 or more on sticks each season, junior, college, university, and pro teams who are strapped with exorbitant stick costs, and adult recreation players who also break sticks all the time. And let's not forget about the environment either, because with over 2 million hockey sticks produced annually destined for landfills, we're making a serious difference in reducing those numbers. Integral Hockey has also become the leader in repaired hockey stick sales, offering consumers the latest models at a fraction of the cost of new ones, because no one likes paying $300 for a stick. Now, the cost to repair a stick to the consumer is on average only $55. Well worth the cost to repair a $250 to $300 stick, and the cost of buying a repaired stick from us is $100 or less. Integral Hockey.
It's Over 50 Hockey Talk on The Clyde and Cody Show with hosts Clyde Roberts and Cody James.
And welcome back here, ladies and gentlemen, to The Clyde and Cody Show. Clyde Roberts with you, and alongside me, Cody James. Getting right into it, the second half of the teams. You have a Golden Knight offense that just seems to be everything is maintained because you get Dave Wachowiak back. You got Jim Thomas, who's coming back after a year of playing, and then you pick up some other key pieces like Tom Lefreri and Chris Paris as well, both who have been influential pieces for the Green Hornets when they played just this past season. Despite not making the playoffs, they still had a lot of offensive production. Lefreri ended up leading the team to victory half the times because he just has that offensive prowess about him. And Chris Paris, again, a very key piece. And Cody, when you look at the Golden Knights, what stands out with you on that offensive side?
Well, you said it there. First, for the goal-scoring king and Dave Wachowiak, you know he's going to continue to keep his title, and that's going to be just part of the offense that they have. Jim Thomas, we heard from the commissioner, he's going to be out for the first 2 weeks, but when he gets into the swing of things, Jim Thomas could potentially be a guy that steps out in front and makes plays. You know, a lot of the critics are out there saying that after a year being away and with Jim Thomas, that he may not necessarily have a lot left in the gas tank. Personally, I think all you need is to get back into the swing of things with hockey, and you'll just pick up right where you left off. I personally don't see Jim Thomas missing a beat once he returns back, but at the same time, he's going to have guys to work with in Dave Wachowiak, Tom Lefreri, Chris Paris, and just the possibilities are endless there.
And now we switch over to the defensive side for the Golden Knights. One thing you look at from this team compared to last season? And personally, Cody, I think there is more speed with this Golden Knight defense than last season.
Without a doubt. And you look at some of their guys that they had last season, John Thompson, Dougie Robinson, good defensive players, but part of the issue that the Golden Knights gave up so many goals was the lack of speed. Whenever the puck would go the other way, those breakaway chances, there would be nobody to help Mario Archikovic out. This season, Mario has a lot of luxury when it comes to speed because he doesn't necessarily have to worry about uncovered breakaways from the opponents. You got Doug Radigan in the mix. When he plays defense, he gets back there and he breaks up plays. You got Mark Walker as well, a solid defenseman in the mix that I like seeing. And you got Bob Leary. Bob Leary is one of those defensemen that can step up and score, but also can be back there when you need him the most. And that's going to be big for Jeff Quicko, who is a stay-at-home defenseman himself, that there's going to be a lot of assisting on that defensive side. Definitely more of an opportunity, I think, to work on a unit, but we'll see how they fare against the Black Aces in the opener.
And then last but certainly not least, you got the Red Army. And yeah, looking at this roster here, and initially on paper, I just don't see anyone on that squad that could potentially be the step-up player here, Cody. I mean, you look at who they have so far, and they're taking a chance here on TJ Pache, the rookie man in town who's been ranked a 5-star. And you look at this roster here, Cody, and it seems like they're putting a lot on TJ to win early in the beginning.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, Clyde, but I also look at Mike Rossi as somebody who potentially can step up and fill the void. Ken Buda as well. Buda, I think, just had a little bit of a slump last season, to be quite honest, but with him and Mike Rossi in the mix, that is a potential to mix things up, and Todd Duncan can set the pass up well. Have faith in this Red Army team, because I can see where you're going with that though, Clyde, because again, Todd Duncan did lead the Red Army in scoring last season, but you look at the shot opportunities that he's had, and had he capitalized on more of them, Todd Duncan could have easily scored 16 or 17 goals. But it's about how to adjust your game and tailor your game to maximize the scoring chances for the Red Army. And to my next point, you bring in Tom Buchholz, who is an absolute finisher as a forward. A man who started off as a defenseman, he comes into the forward swing of things. I like the chances that the Red Army have. They have pieces to play positionally. The question is, will the lineups affect the same way from an offensive standpoint? To me, Clyde, I think the Red Army have a chance of putting things together offensively. It's just, what are they going to do in the first few weeks to discover that talent? They have the pieces. You've got to put the right guys together, though. That is absolutely key.
And then on the defensive side, who do you fancy to be the lead man over there to make the stops?
Well, you got Steve Gorman, who's coming back in the mix. Boozy, as we have seen in past seasons, has been a staple as well as a defenseman. Someone who communicates with the players and knows where to be positionally. Who he's working with, though, with Mike Falbo and Steve Byrne and Mitch Starr. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who he's going to put back there as a defenseman. Mike Jackson's played some defense with the Grey Wolves last season, but Steve Gorman's going to be a staple in that piece. The question is, who can be back there to help out from a defensive side of things? And then you got Bob Garner, who's returning for another season. Or I say another season, but after taking a season off, I believe Gardner's going to be healthy as well. Got to make some changes, got to make some adjustments, though, on the defensive side to help out Gardner. But this man can absolutely do work if he's put in the right positions.
Week 1 matches. First, for the 2:15 game, you got the Golden Knights and the Black Aces. We started touching a little bit on this, Cody, but who do you fancy in this game?
Well, it's week 1. You got new guys working together. If I'm a betting man, the Black Aces are definitely the favorites to win this one here, just because they have Woody Borg, Paul Delano to work with. If those two guys show up, the sky is potentially the limit for their offensive side, and Tom Finley, as well as the captain, has been known to set up the right passes for his team. I like the chances that the Black Aces have. Golden Knights, this is a good team, but I just don't know if they're going to come out of the gate firing in opening week. If it was any other team like the Blue Bombers or Red Army, they have a better chance of winning that game. But again, with the Black Aces, it's a tall order. Now again, it's week 1. Anything goes. But if you're looking at how things play out, assuming everybody's there, I just don't see how in week 1 the Golden Knights are going to step up. Because mind you, again, even in last season when they won the championship, they started their season out 1-3 before they found their wits together and they knew how to start winning games. I'm thinking it's going to be a similar storyline here for this Golden Knight team. They're going to start off slow again this season, but then as the season goes on, they're going to find their niche, they're going to find the ways to work together, and they're going to start reeling off games.
I'm definitely a big fan of the Black Aces as well. I look at this team right now, and even with Woody Borg and Paul Delano potentially coming up on the offensive side of things, Mike Burr, again, as you mentioned earlier, Cody, the wild card of this team, to see him play and to see what he can come up with. But then you also have complementary pieces on the offensive side. Rick Owens, Alan Williams, both looking to break out into great sophomore campaigns. Alan Williams already has really broken out in the back half of his rookie campaign. Hopefully he'll have a chance to continue that into this fall 2020 campaign. I like his chances for the Black Aces as well, and they got the pieces to work to get out for that one. And now, certainly last but not least, with the predictions. What do you say, Cody? How do you think the game's going to turn out to be?
Well, I know I said that the Black Aces are a favorite, but I do not see this game being a high-scoring affair. They got the defense to do it. If I had to make a guess, I'd say Black Aces win on Sunday 2-1.
I take you up on that scoreline as well, but I will say that it's a 2-1 victory in overtime, though, because that's where the key pieces break down. I think the Black Aces are going to have Wachowiak figured out, especially considering that is going to be the key offense to work on. That's going to be the name that the Black Aces circle on that Golden Knight roster as the man to stop. But that'll give other guys like Tom Lafreri and Chris Paris and possibly even Doug Radigan to step up and make some plays. And then the Blue Bombers and the Red Army. Cody, what do you reckon?
I'm looking at both of these teams right now, and just because it's opening week, the Blue Bombers, I think, have a better chance of shaping things out to come out with a victory for opening week. The Red Army will probably still take some time trying to adjust to its new team identity for the fall 2020 season. So I'm giving the Blue Bombers a win on that one.
And that's going to do it here on the Clyde and Cody show. We'll be back again next Friday for another update on the Over 50 Hockey League. And week 1 is always the biggest one. Am I right, Cody?
Absolutely, Clyde. You took the words right out of my mouth, man.
And so until then, catch the games on Sunday. Golden Knights, Black Aces at 2:15 at the TGH Iceplex North Rink. Blue Bombers and Red Army in another consecutive season opener will have their match at 3:30. So for Cody James, this is Clyde Roberts saying goodbye.